Hey guys, this is Steli After with Close.io. A lot of times I see people getting lost in details in the final negotiations of a big deal. If you get lost in details, you get lost in the negotiation, and the result is that you're going to lose the deal. Even if you win, you're going to lose. I'm going to elaborate in a minute. What do I mean by getting lost in details? Well, a lot of times the beginning of the conversation with the new prospect, at the beginning of the sales process, it's easy to keep the bigger picture in mind and to figure out and explore if there's a fit and how you're going to deliver and create value to them and why your solution, your company is the right partner for them. It's easy to keep these things in mind. But what happens typically is that the longer the negotiation goes on, the longer the sales process goes on, the more details are being discussed, the more details have to, get some resolution, and the more details on both ends have to be resolved in one way or another or discussed at least. And that's all fine and good. But the problem is when you, as the salesperson that's supposed to manage and champion the deal, you're the CEO of this deal. If you get lost in details and you start becoming a support and training person versus a salesperson, and you start zigging and zagging in all kinds of craziness depending on what kind of things pop up in the mind of the prospect, and you lose the view on the bigger picture. When you lose that, you lose your chances to influence and control the deal, and with that to close a deal that's going to be good for both ends. So next time you talk to a prospect and they start rambling around and they have tons and tons of questions, and the questions are not cohesively going in one direction or the other. They're all over the place, right? They go from, well, I'm really concerned about, is this the right solution, to how do I utilize your API to make this specific integration happen in this specific use case? And I know I can use your API to do this, but can you give me the step-by-step breakdown on how exactly to code this integration? To, hey, when I sent you a support email, when are you going to be answering it? To, hey, let's discuss your future product roadmap. Like, these questions are all over the place, especially when they don't happen at the very early stage when the prospect kind of tries to figure out if this is something for them or not, but happens at the end of it when you're already ready to pull the trigger and close the deal. You've serviced them during the trial, you've given them the demo, you've answered all their questions. You're just calling to close the deal right now, and they start rambling around with all kinds of random questions. What you have to do is you have to be the well of clarity. You have to provide clarity to the prospect and help them prioritize their list. Number one, when you're zigging and zagging, when they're asking you all kinds of questions, at some point you have to stop them and ask, hey, I know there's so many questions, and the longer we're going to be working together, the more of an expert you become in this subject matter, and the more your organization grows within this area, there's always going to be more and more questions. That's just the nature of things. That means we're growing. Our relationship is growing. Your company is growing. Your department is growing. That's awesome. That's great. That's a good sign, right? But what we have to do to make sure that we're investing all our time and energy on the right things is prioritize. So let me tell you, out of the 25 questions that you have, what are the top 5 questions? What are the absolute most important questions we have to figure out first? The deal breakers, the deal killers, right? The absolute musts. And once we figure that out, once we address the musts, what are the likes and what are the nice to haves? And for today's call, we're going to only focus on the absolute must-haves, making sure that we can address them, we deliver those, and we check off on them. Because if we have the must-haves, this deal is moving forward, right? Right. Okay. But then we still have the other 15 questions. Those are questions that we need to answer and address in the onboarding phase, in the integration phase. And I promise you, as we integrate and onboard you guys as customers, there's going to be more than just these 15 questions. And that's totally fine. But if we prioritize right, we know that the outcome and the answers to those questions are not absolutely crucial to deciding if you guys want to go with us or not. What you do is you need to prioritize. If somebody sends you an email with 30 questions, reply back and tell them, hey, can you do me a favor? I want to make sure I pay the most attention and give you the best answers and the most careful answers to what's absolute must questions. Can you tell me in order of priority what are absolute musts, or what are the most important 5 questions out of the list of 400 questions you send me? What are really important ones and what are nice to have ones but not really that important to you, that crucial to you? Force and enforce priorities. Setting priorities in the sales process and sales negotiation process, it's an absolute must. If you don't do it, the prospect won't do it. And if they don't do it and you don't do it, both of you will get lost. And at the end of the day, the deal is going to be lost, or an opportunity is going to be lost to get to a decision fast, to be decisive, to make good decisions, and to spend time on what's most important for both parties. Isn't it crazy? Sometimes salespeople will spend hours and hours addressing all these detailed questions, and then at the end of the process, the customer will say, well, all the answers so far are really great. Now let me ask you, can you do X or Z? The salesperson goes, no, we can't do that. And the prospect goes, well, then we can buy. That's a deal breaker to us. Well, wouldn't it have been awesome if you knew that 3 hours ago before you answered 5,000 questions to their satisfaction? This is what happens when you don't prioritize and when you don't enforce prioritization. And you can't expect that from your prospect or customer. They don't prioritize because it's not their job to manage this deal. It's not their job to have clarity at all times. They are busy and distracted by millions of things, and every time they talk to somebody in their company about this deal, there are more questions that are being raised. So they're all over the place, and that's not their fault, but you have to help them gain clarity, set priorities, and help them make the right decision. If you don't do that, that is a problem. That means you're not doing your job right. So next time you talk to a customer, make sure you set priorities. Make sure you don't get lost in details, because then you're going to lose an opportunity to make a great deal happen with the right amount of time and the right amount of focus on the right things. All right, I hope this was useful and helpful. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get future sales hacks and sales videos. Make sure to go to blog.close.io and subscribe to our blog. And you can always get in touch with me personally if you want to. Just shoot an email to stelly@close.io. Say hi, tell me about your problems, your challenges, your ideas. We'll chat sales and hustle all day long. I'd love to hear from you guys. All right, that's from me. Now go out there and get them.